6 weeks into running every morning at 5 a.m, I almost quit running entirely. And it wasn't because it was hard, it was because I genuinely couldn't tell if it was working. Now, I'd bought into the whole thing. Wake up before the sun, lace up while it's still dark, be that kind of person who's already done something awesome by the time everyone else's alarm goes off. And actually, the first few runs felt totally fine. But by week 3, something had quietly gone very wrong, and to be honest, I couldn't really explain what it was. My times were getting worse, not better. My legs felt heavy in a way they hadn't in the evenings. I kept blaming discipline, telling myself I just needed to push harder, sleep less, and want it more. But there was one morning I still remember. 4:52 a.m. Standing in the kitchen, tying my shoes, I caught myself doing math. If I left right then, finished my usual route, showered, and logged into work immediately, I'd have maybe 10 minutes to spare, which somehow felt normal at the time. Then I got outside and immediately knew something was off. Not injured, not sick, just tired. My legs felt heavy before I'd even reached the first corner, and I remember thinking something I'd been avoiding for weeks. This doesn't feel hard as such, it just feels bad. There's a difference. And then I found something that made me rethink the whole thing. Mayo Clinic's sports medicine team points out something pretty simple. For most people, physical performance tends to be better later in the day, after you've eaten, moved around, and warmed up without even really thinking about it. So maybe the problem was never my willpower, just maybe it was the hour I'd chosen to fight it out in. Now here's the thing nobody really questions about the 5 a.m. run. Looking back, I don't think I got the idea from runners. I got it from all those videos about winning the morning and getting ahead before everyone else. But somewhere along the way, waking up early and being healthy started just feeling like the same thing. And I don't think they're necessarily the same thing. Because running isn't really a productivity hack. I think I started treating the run like another thing I had to get done before work, which is probably not how training is supposed to feel. It's stressful, then recovery, and then, if you do things right, adaptation. And honestly, what I was feeling pretty accurately matched that. Your body doesn't perform exactly the same at every hour. By the afternoon, you've usually been awake for hours, moved around, and warmed up naturally. At 5 a.m, none of that has happened yet. Which made me realise maybe 5 a.m. wasn't automatically better. Maybe it just worked for some people and not for others. Now here's what all the morning run content never really shows you. The gap between your motivation being awake and your body being awake. You see, core body temperature tends to follow a daily rhythm and is often lower earlier in the morning, although that pattern can vary between people and routines, of course. And some researchers think that may be one reason certain runs can feel heavier first thing, which did make a lot of those heavy, sluggish mornings make more sense to me. I kept blaming myself when maybe I was just expecting too much from a body that had been awake for 15 minutes. Now, to be clear, this isn't me saying morning running causes injuries. That's probably swinging way too far in the other direction. But trying to push hard on stiff muscles right after waking up made everything feel harder than it needed to. And over weeks, that just adds up. Which, on its own, would have just been annoying. It wasn't the biggest cost, actually not even close. Because what really wore me down wasn't the running. It was everything about it. You don't just wake up early. You go to bed at 9 p.m. to make it possible, and suddenly your whole day starts revolving around protecting that bedtime. The fatigue built up faster than I expected. Coffee stopped being a small pleasure and became damage control. I'd crash in the afternoon, push through, and then crash again by evening. And at one point, I got genuinely sick. Now, not seriously sick. Just that run-down feeling where you know something's off, even if you can't really point to what that something is. And looking back, I probably shouldn't have really been surprised. Sleep loss has been linked to slower recovery and lower performance the next day. Which sounds pretty obvious when you say it out loud like that. But I kept acting like I could borrow hours from sleep and somehow avoid paying them back. So, here's the line I wish somebody had told me on day one. A 7 a.m. run on 8 hours of sleep will almost always beat a 5 a.m. run on 5. Tired isn't the same thing as undisciplined. Sometimes tired is just, tired. But I do want to be fair here, because something about that period did actually work, and I almost missed it entirely. It wasn't really running, at least I don't think it was. Mornings felt calmer, less phone first. I wasn't checking messages before I'd even stood up. I wasn't rolling out of bed and immediately reacting to whatever notification had shown up overnight. There was more structure to the day. And looking back, I think I liked that part more than I actually liked the runs themselves, which did surprise me, because I'd spent 6 weeks thinking that running was the point. I felt steadier, less reactive, less like my attention was getting pulled in 10 different directions before breakfast. And the research, of course, lines up with that part too. Because exercise itself is associated with better sleep quality, regardless really of what hour it happens. It's essentially important to notice that the benefit isn't locked to dawn. Consistency matters a lot more than chasing some perfect time on the clock. And that is what made me wonder if I'd been giving 5 a.m. maybe a little bit too much credit. You see, I probably would have gotten most of the same benefits at 7. And this is where the productivity crowd and actual long-term runners quietly part ways. Because if you talk to people who've been running for years, and I'm not talking influencers, actual runners, a lot of them train in the afternoon or evening. And it's not because they're lazy, it's not because they're undisciplined, it's because they just simply prefer it. More food in the tank, warmer muscles, no rush to squeeze everything in before work. So, I switched back to evenings, mostly because I was tired, and honestly, I wasn't really expecting very much. But after about a week, I remember thinking, this feels normal again. The runs that had started feeling like survival suddenly felt way more enjoyable. I wasn't stuck spending the first 20 minutes waiting for my body to wake up. And of course, none of that means morning running is bad in any way. There are plenty of reasons to do it. Maybe you're training for a race that starts early, or you just like the quiet morning vibe and all of that, and that's fine. Maybe you live somewhere hot. Maybe mornings are literally the only time you have, and there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I just stopped assuming earlier automatically meant better. Now, looking back, I think I got weirdly attached to the idea of being someone who wakes up at 5. Not actually running, not feeling healthy, just the 5 a.m. time itself. Which now sounds kind of ridiculous that I say it out loud. Somewhere along the way, the number on the clock had become the goal, and getting up at 5 started feeling more important than whether the running itself was actually working. So maybe the rule was never wake up earlier. Maybe it's just this. Build something that survives a bad week. Something that doesn't fall apart because you had a late night. Something that protects your sleep instead of stealing from it. Something that still fits in when work gets busy, which it inevitably will. Or when winter shows up and the thought of going outside at 5 a.m. just sounds totally miserable. And honestly, that's where I landed. I kept waiting for 5 a.m. to feel special, and to be honest, it never really did. It just got harder to ignore the fact that I enjoyed running a lot more later in the day. Once I actually stopped feeling guilty about that, running actually became more enjoyable again. Which does make me a little bit curious. if nobody would ever know what time you ran, if there were no screenshots, no captions, no one to impress, what time would you actually choose? And be honest here, what's yours?